Assalamu alaikum to all the chai lovers and biscuit fans. I'm your host Anzar Anwar and welcome back to the Chai and Biscuit Podcast. Today we are traveling to one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. It is called Italy. You might know it because it might be on your bucket list, because it seems like it happens to be on everyone's bucket list just because everyone's trying to find their Roman Empire. Today I get to interview one of my best friends. He's Italian. He's American Italian, one would say, but he claims to be just Italian. But he is my best friend. We get to learn a lot about Italy today, from his perspective, from the food, from the culture, from his family, from the people, and from the country's perspective. My friend Lorenzo Mancino, ladies.
Hi guys, really happy to be here. I guess I'm your Roman Empire for the night. And, you know, Anzar is capping. I am Italian. It was my first language. Really happy to be here, Anzar, so thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I know I'm not capping, but it's okay. We'll give you the chance. It's like every other Italian. I feel like every Italian in America, just like, their things are just like, you know, even American Italian, which is good. That's what I think, good thing about it, that you guys are so close to your cultures, so proud of your cultures. I think that's the whole thing behind this podcast too, where I bring people, especially, I know I wanted to have you for a while, you know, we've been talking about this, because you're so close to your culture, so close to your traditions. What is the secret? What is, like, how are you all Italians, what would say, close, such a proud of your culture? What drives you?
Honestly, I'd like to say it's the environment. Just like how you said, I am American Italian, but Italian was my first language. My parents moved here when they were, you know, when they got married, and they found a sense of belonging here. Like you mentioned, living in America can be, you know, have its difficulties. Trying to change from, you know, your culture and trying to, you know, learn a different dynamic. But for me, you know, America is the land of opportunity. It's also the area where you want to be to expand your own culture. So it's very beautiful that I have the ability to live in a country where I can bring my own ideologies and share them with my friends. And I also love that the people in the United States appreciate that. And through people like me want to go to Italy. There's a lot of people that never been to Italy and it's on their bucket list. Why? It's because they met Italians and they invoked how beautiful it is, and it got ingrained in their minds, and that's why they want to go. And I'd like to say I'm one of those people that tells Anzar all the time that you really need to go to Italy, because it's just one of those spots that will change you. You know, in America, everything's about work, rush. There in Italy and Europe, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, especially you immigrants, everything there is very relaxed, and it's just a different way of living.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've been friends with for what now, damn near 12 years. You're right. There's not a day go by or a year go by where I haven't told you or said, like, you know, made fun, just because I know it gets underneath your skin sometimes, just to say, you know, you're American Italian. But it's not that there's no title. It's the fact that you're so close to your tradition, so close to your value. Because I know your parents and they're close to so much their values. Do you think your parents and your family kind of contributes to that part of being so close to your tradition?
Of course. You know, when you are born in the United States and you're a son or daughter of immigrants, all you know is what your parents know, of course. Like, you go to school, you learn English, you go through that whole dynamic of going to school, but when you go home, your parents speak Italian, right? So that's the first thing I learned. And their culture and the way of doing things and their process has just been ingrained in me. And I remember when I was young, you know, my parents actually had trouble speaking English, which is weird because I was born here, I grew up here, but I go to Italy every year. And when I went to school, I was terrible at English. I had to do ESL. A lot of people don't know that.
I think, you know, I had to do that too. It's funny that being born here and still have to do ESL. That's crazy.
No,
I think, yeah, I had to do the same thing when I moved here. Even though I spoke English, still had to take it, just because different grammars, different wordings, stuff like that. But it's crazy that you were born here and still went to ESL. So, see, that's how you know you're hardcore Italian from the beginning. I know the environment does affect on sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, because you're so close. You're outside when you come with us, like you're with your friends. I think you have a lot of Italian friends, so that kind of helps. And then when you go back home, your family's fully Italian. Like, you have, they're close. Like I said, they're hardcore to their traditions. So that helps you, you know, with everything.
The great thing about living in the United States is everyone is immigrants, right? So you kind of have to change the dynamic of how you speak to people and how you interact with people, based on who you're with, right? Like when I'm with my Italian friends, I act differently than when I'm with my American friends or my Irish friends or my Pakistani friends or my Spanish friends, because they all grew up in a certain way, and you have to know how to conform to their ideologies and their processes. And it's something beautiful because this is the only country in the world where you can actually do that and feel comfortable making mistakes, right? So not only that I'm close with my family, but I'm close with everyone else, including you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you and me, we grew up two different households, two different processes, two different ideologies. But why do we get along so well?
Yeah,
Because we understand.
Yeah, there's some traditional values that are, I think it's consistent throughout some cultures, especially I think the family values play a big part. I think that's why we connect on a lot of topics it's 12 years, and I think there's not a day go by where we can just sit and have a great conversation. Even like this, having podcasts, that's just like I say, a way to capture what we talk about normally. But yeah, no, I think but Italy itself, it's like everyone's bucket list. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, where do you want to go at one time of your lifetime? Every person I've asked, it's like, oh, yeah, man, Italy. Like, I think I mentioned that to you. Me and my siblings are trying to take a trip to Milan
Yep.
soon. So I'm looking forward to it, and I want to take trips with you and with the boys. That's something that it's always on the bucket list. So I'm looking forward to that. But Italians, tell me more about your traditional household things. What are certain things that you think separates you or your household or the Italian tradition from others?
Obviously there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find in most Italians is their sense of being a lone wolf. I don't know. When I'm in Italy, or just when I'm speaking to my own family, I feel like the way of thinking is very different. They don't like conforming to systems, right? Like, I don't know. I find that when you're in America, everyone follows the rules like to the T. If you tell an Italian to follow the rules, they'll tell you to like go kick rocks, right? And I'm sure you know that because I'm sure in your country it's the same way.
Yeah.
In our country, everyone doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
They're very creative, right? So everyone in Italy, especially back in when my dad grew up, everyone was poor, right? But they still didn't like following the rules. They got in trouble a lot. But what sparked is making them creative to solutions, creating to, being more innovative, creative in the fact that how do they get out of this situation without being a number or without being some type of ant that the government controls in a sense, right? Like how my dad likes to say, right? So, that's something that I find that a lot of Italians have is the ability to think differently. Like if someone comes up to you and says, hey, this is how you should think, Italians question that. They like question everything. We don't believe anyone. And that's the greatest thing about Italians is they don't believe anyone. And if they got to make a mistake, they'd rather make the mistake than believe you, which is great.
I can watch
I'm the same way. I don't believe anyone. You can't. I only believe my mom and God. I'm sure you guys are the same way.
Yeah, no, there's times where I have told him things. He's like, nah, I'm cool. Like, I had to, like, show him everything one could possibly show. It's like believing it, seeing it. I've showed him, like, seeing is believing, excuse me. It's like I've showed him things, but he's like, still questions it, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I think it's a great trait to have, to question everything. That's like I think that's, yeah, like you said, that's kind of differentiates you guys from everybody else. And I think it's not something that should be culturally, everyone should have that kind of trait where they question everything that it's been presented to them. But overall, man, let's talk about you traveling to Italy. I know you go every year. Give us a image. Tell me where you're from and back home. Tell me about your hometown. Give us a little details about your hometown.
So I'm from a small hometown, roughly 4,000 people. Mm-hmm. It's a small town called Monte di Procida, Provincia di Napoli, which is the province of Naples, Italy, about 30 minutes away from Mount Vesuvius and about an hour from the start of the Amalfi Coast, which is like Positano, Amalfi, those really cool zigzag roads that you see on the side of the mountain there. And what about my hometown? So a lot of the Italian Americans that live in the United States somehow all come from my town, Monte di Procida. And every summer we go there between July and August and we all meet each other. So all my father and mother's friends that immigrated to the United States, they had kids. And every August we go back and we all became friends. So when I go to my hometown, I feel like I'm kind of in the United States with everyone having the same background as me, having a little bit of American, a little bit of Italian, mix them together, and they're in this little hometown, right? And what we love to do is, every time we go back, it's like a big family reunion. I mean, I have a group chat with like 90 Italian American kids that grew up just like me, came to United States when they were really young, born here, not born here, but didn't really speak English. And then obviously went to ESL, got better. But every August, our parents bring us back to our small hometown so we don't forget our heritage. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We go out, we go to bars, we go to clubs. If you guys ever want to go to clubs, Italy's the spot. Kind of crazy because when I was like 17, 18, I could go to the bars. And then in September, I had to come back here and I was like in jail because everything here starts at 21. Still doesn't make sense to me, guys. Don't get that. But I think at 18, at least Italian 18-year-olds are pretty mature, I like to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the age group, in the whole Europe is different. I think it's 18 you get to go to clubbing and or outdoors, any space that it requires, like you have to be considered adult, I think.
Listen, even 14-year-olds. I gotta be honest. It's crazy.
It's
but
like everyone's partying there. It's like it's a town full of, especially summertime. Like I know, like August, since I've known him, I know in month of August, Lorenzo's not gonna be in America. Like that's say confirmed. And the best part is this man will say, yeah, I'm not sure. And next thing you know, like he will call in the middle of the night. Yeah, tomorrow morning is my flight. Is somebody might have to drop me off, or it's all right. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. I think you did that last year too.
Yeah, guys. The funny story is, so typical Italian. My parents own restaurants, and a lot of them own shopping centers. Blah blah blah. Typical Italians, right? So I help out with my parents once in a while if they need help. And one time I was making pizza boxes, just making pizza boxes. I was 16 years old. My dad yells at me from across the restaurant, Lorenzo, make the pizza boxes. I'm sending you to Italy. In my head, I'm like, well, what is this man talking about? I'm working. Okay. I make the pizza boxes. He says, Lorenzo, go pack your bags. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I called the agency. You're going to Italy in 3 hours. Like, I'm going to the airport in 3 hours. I'm like, what do you mean? He showed me the ticket and I almost had a heart attack. And you know what's funny too? I just got my license 2 weeks ago before he made that decision. And guess where the airport was, guys? We're from Philly. I had to go to New York City and I had to drive. So not only that I had to go from Philly to airport in 3 hours or I was going to miss this flight, I had to drive to New York and I only had my license for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, this is not the first time.
I was going crazy.
Yeah, this is not, he does this a lot. Like that's his like thing. He will like next thing you know, hey Lorenzo, month of August, we just know you're going to be somewhere out there. And we don't even try to make plans just because we know he's not going to be there. I think month of August for us lately has just becoming like a month of travel a lot. But yeah. I'm looking forward to, I think hopefully inshallah this year, I think I do want to go to Italy for sure. I want to take that boys trip and see how it goes. But no, that's the funny part. But the best part, I think, I want to talk about you and your cousins and your friends that are in America. They all travel at the same time. I think that's the best part. Kind of keeps everybody together. What is it like being in Italy? Because I know from your we have talked when you were there. Give me a imagery or explain it to me. What does the view outside your balcony looks like from your house?
Man, let's just say the house that I have in Italy, based on the view, if it was in Miami, which I love Miami, it would probably be worth 30 million. And you've seen the view, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can agree. There's 3 islands that are right in front of me. So all on the left side, I have Mount Vesuvius. Pretty cool, right? A little bit to the right, we have the island of Capri. Very exclusive island. A lot of people from the United States go there to travel. And then there's 2 islands on the right of that called Ischia and Procida. So I'm very fortunate enough that my parents worked hard to have a house in Italy, to call their own, to eventually give to me and my sister, to share with my future family in that town. I'm very fortunate to wake up and, have that type of view. But again, I want to reiterate, I didn't work for it. My parents did.
Yeah, no,
and I'm fortunate to go outside in Italy every August and look at the view and wow, thank you, Mom and Dad. You brought me to the most beautiful place in the world, and this is heaven on earth.
Yeah, no, that's something that's everyone should be grateful for, especially for your parents. Like you said, they worked hard for to get you what you want, and that's something. And having a home. And you're like going back to it. It's just something a different feeling rather than just.
It is.
Then it doesn't sound like a vacation. It's like, all right, I'm going back home just to relax.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are just like me, but they don't have a home. So every time they go there, like their parents actually sold their home maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they go back, they have to get a hotel, and it's just a hassle.
Well, that feels more so like I said, for them, I might like I said, it feels like a vacation.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
you, it's just like
it's home.
Home.
It's home.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Yeah, no, that's like the best part. Like we can be going back to a different country and call it a home. I think that's something that's like not a lot of people get to do, but it's a different feeling. It's a great feeling to have.
It is.
But what are some great spots? Like, if I were to come, where would you take me? Like, what are we talking about? Where are we going? Like, if in your town, like, or outside your town?
Well, just like how people say New York is a city that never sleeps, Napoli is a city that never sleeps. So just imagine. In America, this is something that's really different. Everything closes at 2:00. There, in Napoli, everything opens at 2:00 a.m. So imagine at 12:00, you're still getting ready at your house, getting dressed. You leave your house at 12:30. You drive 20 minutes to go to the city. And my favorite spot in Napoli is called Margellino, which is basically like it's like the Gulf of Naples with a bunch of yachts and a bunch of restaurants and cafes that are just open all night. So people just drink, stay around the water, and of course it's a city, so you have people from all walks of life there. You got people from Italy, Germany, Pakistan, India, and it's crazy because you feel like you're still in the United States because it's one of those cities that, a lot of people just want to see, and it's very diverse. It's not like many cities in Italy where you just go there and it's just Italian people, right? When you go to Napoli, it's literally people from all around the world. So I feel like I'm in New York City in Europe. So that's probably one of my favorite places. And closer to my town, there's a really neat club called Turistico, which is a club on the beach. So everyone gets dressed, kind of looks, pretty presentable because everyone there has to have a dress code. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But people just take off their shoes, and this club is literally on the beach. So imagine you go to the club on the beach and you're all drunk, 3, 4 in the morning. You take off all your clothes and you jump in the water. 3, 4 in the morning on the beach, clubbing on the beach with all your friends. You jump in the water and you look up at the stars. It's nice, clear night, 80 degrees, warm water. I mean, for me, that's the pinnacle of life. I mean, all around in your hometown, with your friends, with your family, with your cousins, with your mom, dad, everyone 3, 4 in the morning in the water.
No, that's
like crazy to me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of places in the world you can do that. So that's what makes it. I think you have places like Italy where people can go and experience that. But imagine, like I always said, like everybody has experienced different things and in their own countries or even own backgrounds. But that's something like it's a memories of lifetime. I know you have your friends or your cousins. Shout out to Hermando and Ilario.
Yeah.
They're the fun bunch.
The pit bulls, I like to call them.
But I know when they travel with you too. Like I have seen like through them and you, like you guys have the blast. So I'm really looking forward to like you enjoying that. Maybe get to jump in the water probably in the 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. That's something.
Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it too, man.
Yeah,
Every day.
Yeah.
It's a countdown.
It is a countdown. So inshallah, hopefully we get to make that trip possibly soon. And then I remember last year me and you had a really close call where I was gonna come to Italy, but I was in a different country, not too far from you.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, but the beauty is, there's always next year.
Yeah, there's always the next thing.
God willing.
But let's talk about the biggest thing, man. It's Italian food is my favorite food, especially from your mom's hand. That's something that I've been having. By the way, Christmas dinner at his house for about it's like 6-7 years now. And let me tell you, it's always something I look forward to. Let's talk about food. Which I'm pretty sure Italian food is everyone's favorite food. I have not met anyone that has said, "Oh, I don't like Italian food." I think Italian food is a highly, highly delicious cuisine to have in any given time of the day. It's my favorite. And
voted best food in the world. Just saying.
It is. I mean, vodka pasta or any kind of pasta, man, I could go for any day. But compared to now that I feel like there's a highly the population of American Italian or Italian Americans are in America are a lot.
Yeah.
We have Little Sicily in New York, that I think we went to, called Little Italy, and the food here is amazing. But compared to food here in Italy, there's still a difference. What what's the difference? What are we talking about here?
Well, one thing, probably the biggest thing I want to bring up about not just Italian cuisine, right, is European cuisine. Like, kind of found this out. So, a couple weeks ago, Italy has been, going through this legal battle about meats and what should be GMO free and what shouldn't be. And Italy was the first country in Europe to ban GMO meats. And I'm sure, in the United States, everything here is GMO'd. Very unhealthy. A lot of, political figures actually say that United States politicians are killing us by feeding us GMO'd foods when they could just ban them. But everything's about money here, which is not the case in Italy. Everything there is about family and about health. So that's the biggest thing. GMO'd foods is illegal. I want to reiterate that, illegal in Italy. And that's probably the biggest factor.
I think that's GMOs are pretty much illegal in a lot of other countries besides America. Especially, I know that they're legal in Pakistan and most of the Europe countries that I have been to. Yeah. They're legal, and that's the one biggest difference. Like, you will feel it. I tell everybody, just leave and try meat or anything else. Completely different taste.
Yeah, I would like to give you an example, guys. So obviously, I like pizza. Who doesn't, right? When you eat a whole pizza in the United States, your stomach will hurt very bad. If you eat a whole pizza in Italy, it's so airy and so fresh and so there's no GMO in the flour, right? Everything is so, it's nutritious. You feel like so light, like a feather, I'd like to say. And you can probably down 3 or 4 whole pizzas and not feel a thing. It's the same thing. Like, I'll give you an example. Like Alonso said, I go to Italy every time in August. All year round, I'm eating food in the United States and, my stomach hurts. The minute I go to Italy and I eat something, like, my stomach and especially like your gut feels amazing. And then the one meal you eat when you get back, which is funny because I ate Chick-fil-A the day I got back because I kind of miss Chick-fil-A. Who doesn't? My stomach was killing me. And I'm like, I'm just eating chicken. Yeah. I didn't even get the fries. I got a water bottle and some chicken. And it was grilled chicken too. My stomach was hurting. So what could it be? Is it me or the food?
Yeah, it's definitely the food. I think I noticed that too every time I travel. But like I said, I mentioned that to every person that absolutely try food. Food is the one thing that brings people together. Everything, especially Italian food that's considered to be, like you said, it's most popular food in the world, but also considered to be one of the most comforting food in the world, where anyone can have it at any given moment.
Yeah. I also like to say that I love Italian food. Also love sushi. I love Japanese food. Probably one of my favorite foods after Italian food. But if you notice, Italians are really creative, right? I'll give you an example. Simple dish of pasta, right? Dish of pasta. The actual pasta itself is like a yellowish color. The tomato is red. And then the basil is green. If you notice, that's the Italian flag. So a lot of dishes created in Italy are based on us being Italian. Same thing. When you have mozzarella, you put vinegar on it. You put, some peppers on the side. And then you put a basil, Italian flag. So everything is always in that creative sense that it goes back to our heritage. Notice that next time you eat a plate of pasta.
What would you say is your favorite dish? If you had to pick a dish, something from your mom cooked. But shout out, I know your parents, like you said, they own a restaurant. Shout out to Bridgeport Pizza, by the way. And what's like your go-to dish? I know your mom cooks amazing food, and she cooks goddamn every day. So what's your go-to? Like, if you're like, Mom, I feel like this today.
Risotto di pescatori.
Explain what that is. So
basically, it's rice, and inside the rice, it's mussels, clams, calamari, and basically any type of seafood. You can put scallops in it. Kind of like a Spanish paella, but in my opinion, a little more frothier, a little more milkier, just a lot less heavy. But if you guys are Spanish or you guys ever had a paella, very similar, almost exact. I'd like to say.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I would love to try it. Like, I know last time, what do we had what was the Christmas dinner this time? I think your mom made some
Lobster. Lobster on Christmas, guys.
Lobster, yo, that dish is still, there's this taste of it in my mouth somewhere still to this day. The lobster and the pasta, oh my God, that was just delicious. Absolutely delicious. And especially your dad's Brooklyn pizza. That's one of my, or everyone's, I feel like, favorite among our friends. It's everyone's go-to.
Yep.
The Brooklyn pizza. That's something that hits the spot every time.
Yeah, everyone always says, like, your dad owns, like, a restaurant. Why aren't you fatter? I'm like, well, my mom cooks. And then they ask me again, well, why aren't you fatter? I'm like, I don't know. My mom just cooks great. Shout out to my mama.
Yeah.
If you guys know Maria, you guys know how she is.
Facts. But like, tell me, like, what's like working in a restaurant, like, especially in an Italian restaurant, what's like, because it seems like it's like, oh, like every Italian restaurant I have gone to, it's always been like the environment of like the family orientation is really, really into the restaurant, like into the food. You can taste the love. Like, how is that consistent in every restaurant you kind of go to, especially in your parents' restaurant? What do you like? Why are you? How long it's been there, and like what kind of drives it?
So my dad, he can never work for anyone. You know how he is.
Yeah.
He's had his restaurant for 23 years. He has many other successful businesses. The only reason why he shut those down is because he wanted to move. But the driving force of owning a restaurant, especially family-owned restaurant, is exactly what it is: having your family in there. Of course, I have another job. I work really hard for my own career. But at night, if I have nothing to do, I want to go help my family out, because at the end of the day, their restaurant is my restaurant and their business is my business. And the way that people view their business is also the way that people are going to view me, right? And that also goes for the fact that when my family goes out for, pizza or other restaurants, we want to go to those restaurants that are just like ours, in the sense that the whole family's in there, right? We don't want to go to commercial restaurants because the quality of the food goes down. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot of restaurants that when I went to when we were young, there was only small mom and pop shops, amazing food. And then they kind of got bigger to a franchise, kind of more commercialized, and the food quality went to shit, right? And I'm sure you've been to a lot of restaurants like that. But every time you go to a restaurant that you see the father, the mother, the wife, the brother, the uncle, and all the kids working in there, you're in for a damn good meal.
No, absolutely. I think everyone can watch for that. Just any restaurant or Italian restaurant they go to, or any restaurant that is considered to be run by their family members, you can just tell that it's just food's gonna hit the spot no matter what. I know you that over time or when you go out with your family, that you guys try not to, or if you do go to an Italian restaurant, what does that look like to you? Like, what do you guys do or talk about? Like, if you're like, damn, like I can cook this better than they did. Do you ever thought of that?
Oh my God. My dad complains all the time. You can't take him out. We actually say the best kitchen is mama's kitchen. My mom.
Yeah.
So, all you Italians know, no matter where you go to eat, your mom's cooking is always going to be the best. It's made with love, right? It's not made to rush you, sit at a table and pay the check and get out. That's what my family likes to say.
Yeah.
But my family supports small businesses. So we like going to our own friend's restaurant because, one, we know that the food's good. Mm-hmm. Two, the owners are always there. So we always sit with company. Even though they're working and they're running their business, they still sit with us. And three, that they're going to put more love into the food because they know us, right? It's not like you're going to a restaurant that you're a stranger and, they make food and they just give it to you and they just half-ass the food. When you go to, family, friends, they want to make sure, that you love it. And that's the greatest thing about, the restaurants my parents choose, because we're really, really, I'm really picky. Yeah. But what I can say is, like, if your family has a restaurant, you understand, you always go to your father's friends or your mother's friends' other restaurant that's 1 hour away just to get good food, even though there's 10 million other restaurants around you that you could go to.
Yeah, so going back to from just or your early age, this is something like I ask like everyone. Like growing up, like you mentioned, like you had to take the ESL classes, just because you were so you learn Italian first before you learn English, and you're or at the same time, but you were so close to your Italian tradition that you kind of had to, that language just came naturally to you. Yeah. Over time, same thing. Like, how do you think you carry yourself with your identity, like your American and Italian identity, or like just the Italian? Like you say, you with certain people you're different. So like, how does that go about? Like, what does that look like too?
Well, I guess, to break that down, right? I remember when I was young in school and I was doing, classes and summer school, I was the, worst at writing English. And now, I'm really good at writing English.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
So shout out to my teachers when I was young, because they really wanted to help me, and they did. But I remember, I was having trouble in school in English class, and my mom was having those meetings, that they have those meetings. What are they called? The
parent-teacher meeting.
Parent-teacher meeting, exactly. And they said, Lorenzo's trying, but, he's struggling in writing. And my mom said, well, he's trying his best. He's, he speaks Italian at home. Like, what should we do? Should we just, not speak Italian to him? Just push to speak English? Mm-hmm. And they said, no, we don't want Lorenzo to lose his Italian, because that's just as important as learning his English. And from then on out, my parents really just speak Italian to me at home. And, your next question about how I speak differently to other people is because, depending on the situation, right? Like if I'm talking to an Italian-American, there's like unspoken things that we just make sense, right? Like mm-hmm. if we see someone doing something stupid and, we turn to each other, we really don't have to say anything, because we grew up the same way, the same dynamic, and we know that guy is dumb because we grew up the same.
Yeah, no, we had that. I think that's something like me and, like I said, some of my other friends that are like have gone through the same kind of things that I have. We say that. I think even we do have sometimes. Like we are now know enough of each other that we don't have to say something. Yeah. We just look at each other.
Exactly. But if I'm like with a pure American person, like they grew up differently. Not bad, not good, just differently. We might not have that unspoken, like telepathic, like connection, right? But that's a great thing about a lot of immigrants, that they think the same.
Yes.
So I don't have to explain things to you. And I'm a man of like little words. Like when I'm upset, I don't want to explain to someone why I'm upset. I just want them to know that I'm upset. And me and Onza understand each other. And that's the greatest thing, because we know each other's moods and we know our actions and know what we're going to do next before even saying anything. And that's just lovely.
Yeah, no, I think over time that that the bond builds over time, and I think it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be immigrant or someone else, but that kind of helps. It kind of boosts it, or kind of like makes the process go faster, easier. But it could be anyone. I know have over like us, like we come from two different backgrounds, two different cultures, two different languages, but yet we talk, act the same exact time sometimes. Like literally, like we have the same thought or thought process sometimes, but it has nothing to do with like sometimes background. It's just me and you being friends, and how we created our own environment. That helped a lot. But no, that's awesome. Like I know we have our other friends like that speaks different languages. Throughout, I think it's you learning Italian, or you're able to speak Italian helped you learn other languages too. What are some other languages you think you're good at? Like I know Spanish is one.
Me gusta español porque los mismos de italiano.
Yeah.
I love Spanish.
Yes.
I love Spanish. Just the language is very beautiful, very similar. I got cousins that that are dating Spanish men, women. I have a first cousin who lives in Spain, married a Spanish man, very nice. Very same dynamic. Again, that's why I said I love Miami, because when I go down there, it's all Spanish people, Italian people, Cubans, and that vibe, right?
Yeah, no.
Just that vibe. You know what I mean? And I do like French, all the love languages. It's very easy to pick up. Even if you don't speak them, you understand them. And that's just, that's enough.
Yeah, no, there's been times where I have walked in your house or your mom says, greetings or something in Italian, and I understood it like, oh, it's just my mom talking. And, even to this day, since I've known him, like, ciao, We use the word. We said ciao every time. Phone calls, love you, ciao, love you, hey, what's up, ciao, what's up. Like and I try to. I think that's the best part, that when we get together, that we don't hide our identities, or more so like our backgrounds. We use them in our daily conversations. And my goal is one day to speak
Yeah.
in Italian one day. Fluently.
What's nice about, like, sorry to cut you off, by the way, but what's nice about us all having different backgrounds is I grew up a certain way, you grew up a certain way. Even though we have similarities, we also have differences. But I pull things from your family, you pull things from my family. Dylan, our other friend who's from Mexico, I pull things from his family, and I make my own thought process.
Yeah.
I make my own my own journey, but it's nice because I grew up in America. I have friends from Pakistan, from Mexico, and they all grew up the same, but also grew up all different. And now when I have my own family, I can pull from my friends and their ways of living and their journeys and create my own. So a lot of diversity within our friend group
Yeah,
that I absolutely love.
quite a lot. I know we have. I don't know. We have a friend, Yassine, and he's, that's something different to as well. And that's like me and him connect, like I said, more compared to some, like, on certain topics, and me and you connect on certain topics more, because that's something each friend group kind of have some their own experiences, like, in each group.
Yeah, something
like,
to give and something to take, something to give.
Exactly.
I get it. I get what you mean.
That's the beauty of it, having different backgrounds, and especially able to talk about it and pretend like it's just all the same. That's the beauty of it. The difference makes us come together more than anything.
Yep.
So, I'll just want to say I appreciate you sharing your stories. I know time is at the essence, but this is a time where I like to give you the time to give any advice or any thoughts or whatever you're thinking, whatever is going in your head, to the listeners, to the viewers. Give us something that you might have learned over time or through your Italian traditions, cultures, that you think it's beneficial for other people to hear.
So if you go in Italy, there's a lot of murals and quotes on the wall that show, different types of arts and paintings. But there's a lot of signs that say, un giorno alla volta, which means one day at a time. And when I was younger, everything was about rushing and planning and, trying to get to somewhere fast and looking at the future and trying to be rich and blah, blah, blah. And then when you get older, you start to realize that you need to slow down and just realize that life is one day at a time. So I guess my advice that I learned through my culture, and especially my father, is just take one day at a time. Tomorrow's not promised. Thank God for today. Wake up tomorrow. Thank God again. And just be the best version of yourself. There's no competition. Your only competition is yourself. And, something else I do like to say is, if you're trying to learn another language, do it, because it's going to open up a lot of doors in terms of connections. You make more friends. You meet very important people, and you just broaden your scope that, not everything that is the best thing. There's things in other countries that are probably better than they are here, and there's things in other countries that are probably worse than here. But at least knowledge is power, knowledge is key. So if you're trying to learn Italian, you guys know me, hit me up. I'll try my best. I taught Italian in college, and I'm sure I can teach you too.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's Italian. He's fluent. He can write, speak, and do everything possibly. That's a great advice to I think everyone. I always say, like, I'm able to speak more than one language. Is I can. My goal in life is to just try to speak as many languages as possible, especially languages that are close to home or close to me, just because through my friends. Right now, I'm learning Arabic, and that's my fifth language. I'm on my fifth language. So I think that's, like you mentioned, like, learning new languages also helps you learn different things about different people, different cultures. That opens your doors. So that's a great advice to everyone who's listening and watching. And again, I just want to say thank you for being here and sharing your story. I hope people are, getting more advice from you. If anybody wants advice to how to learn Italian, please reach out to Lorenzo. And if you want to find your Roman Empire, he can absolutely help on that on that note too, because You're a tour guide. So, I absolutely, whenever we get the chance to go to Italy, would love to visit your hometown and your house. And hopefully we take a trip as boys.
ASAP.
ASAP Rocky, yes, inshallah. But on that note, I just want to say thank you again to everyone who's listening and watching. See you all next time. Take care, guys.